welcome back to the C-Files podcast. I'm Luke,
I'm Max.
and this week we are reviewing, or just at least just talking about the original Mission Impossible. It would have made more sense for me to do one of the newer ones, but I thought I'd make it difficult and do the original Mission Impossible because this is on no streaming services for free.
For free, yes.
Yeah, I have to pay to watch this movie.
Yeah, if
I don't
you
like that.
hear the occasional dog bark, it's because there's a dog.
Yep, and I could edit around it, or I could be lazy and not, and I'm gonna choose to not because I I don't want to do that. Sorry if I sound a little tired. My voice has been weird today, so if I sound kind of out of it, that's it. That's the reason. I not because this movie is atrocious. It's a perfectly fine movie. It is a perfectly movie.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about Avatar, and
Oh,
I'd maybe put this a tiny bit above Avatar, but that's about it.
okay.
They are both movies, in my opinion. They are fine. Yes. Max, what's your opinion? If you have an opinion.
On Mission Impossible.
This movie, yes.
Yeah, I liked it. I've already seen it before, but I forgot everything that happened. And then I
Hmm.
started again, and then I remembered everything. It's quite I feel like it's quite memorable. Like, you forget what happens,
Hmm.
but then you start watching again, and then you remember everything. Thing is, there were some bits of the movie that I just don't understand.
Yeah,
How
I
this
was.
happened or why this happened. I felt like watching almost a YouTube video, like the story recap of someone
Yeah,
who
there's
did
like
understand it.
the ending explained videos. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just sometimes just don't understand it.
Yeah, and I kind of hoped when you said you'd seen this before that you knew what happened because I was watching this like what. And I still didn't understand what happened. So I mean, I get what happened. I'm a little confused by a lot of things actually. There's a reveal in this. I still have no idea how that works. After the after like the second act, like once the boss guy, John Voight is the actor's name. Once
The boss.
he is revealed to be alive again, I am very confused.
Yeah, it just gets confusing from then on.
I get like I'm like okay, he's the villain now, and then no, Tom Cruise isn't working. What?
But
This is
then there's just so many bits where I'm like, well, because with the French guy, I'm like, how does he have to do with how what?
there's a lot they don't explain, and
Yeah.
I mean I actually I'd never seen this in full before. I'd seen the beginning like I'd seen up like the beginning like first act of this movie 100 times, and then gotten very bored. Because this is not like the other Mission Impossible movies at all.
Really, even though it's the first one, it's like
Yeah, have you seen those other ones?
I haven't seen any of the other ones.
I have watched all of them except the ending of the second one, because that is the only one I think in this franchise that is viewed as like a bad movie. Because the rest of this franchise is great. This is a franchise, in my opinion, that gets better as it goes on.
You always
Sorry,
go on about how this is the only good action movie franchise.
I'm not gonna say it's the only good action movie franchise. This is my favorite modern action movie franchise.
Ah,
It's the only one currently that isn't like Marvel, because Marvel's fine, but they're just. It's like Marvel's. I heard this analogy. I like it. Marvel's like the kid. It's like a popular kid at school, and he starts wearing a tweed jacket, and that's fine. But then everyone else starts wearing a tweed jacket, and it gets annoying. And now you start to think, oh, I wish that guy hadn't worn a tweed jacket. And that's my opinion towards Marvel. They're
really?
fine. Look, they're the company. They want to make money. Good for them. But just everything's Marvel now, and it bothers me. Except Mission Impossible. So thank you, Tom Cruise, for doing that. You're a weird dude, but thank you for that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really like the Mission Impossible movies. I'm like super pumped whenever a new one comes out. I've done a lot. I've watched a lot of them on planes, and which is a great place to watch Mission Impossible. They are unbelievable plane movies. I know that that's usually not high regarded, but I like watching movies on planes. That's a me thing, and
But
these
what
work
from
there. yeah, so yes. Also, I think I watched them all. The only reason I didn't watch this one because maybe it wasn't on my TV. I didn't have it as on demand. So yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, the movie's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Um,
There's
it's just
fun.
the plot things that where they don't really explain it very well, and it
Mm.
just confuses me.
It is. Mm.
Well, they
Sorry,
didn't
what?
explain the whole thing with Max, like the arms dealer person. They didn't explain any of that. Like, why did? Since when were they communicating with like the CIA or what was it? FBI, CIA, whatever it
Presume
was.
probably CIA because it's international. I don't know.
When they explained like they gave them a hard drive. When were they communicating? They were like it
They will
ended.
commute. Yeah. So I roughly okay. Just tell me if I get anything wrong here, because this is an example where I think you know more than me on what's happened, just because you've seen this before.
Yeah,
Tom Cruise is a team of fellas. You know what? Should we just yeah? Is it with a team of fellas, a bunch of people, and then they all die, and then he is accused of being a inside agent in the IMF, which is like
yeah,
their made up version of the CIA. Just because I don't know why actually. Um, so they do that. So he's done, and so he goes to a lady called Max. Um, because yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Do you want to? Let's just. Do you want to kind of just talk about the whole movie as I go through the movie because
sure. Yeah,
it's hard to. There's a lot of stuff in this.
I don't even know why he goes to Max. And then he looks at the Bible and it gives him an idea. Who looks at the Bible and instantly thinks chapter 3, section 14 or chapter 14? So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean, let's just start at the beginning because there's just a lot here that you need to pass through. I'm confused by this. Um, yeah. We open with like Emilio Estevez, who I was surprised to see in this movie because I had never I just hadn't recognized him before. He's in Breakfast Club, other stuff I imagine, but I know him from Breakfast Club and Mighty Ducks, but mostly Breakfast Club because I love that movie.
That's why.
Um, yeah, so he's in
Yeah, Mighty.
this.
Yeah.
He's in this, and yeah, so Tom Cruise is on like a team. Also, the opening of this has like what was it? They have like the masks. It's like a fake out. What is it? How do you describe it? Like, it's
It's like
I
just a
can't.
fake disguise thing.
Yeah, I do think I have a few notes on this, just on my notes. The guy that like the guy who's like sitting down with like the undershirt on looks like I'm convinced there's an actor out there who's immortal and has played every like schlubby, vaguely European villain in every movie. I'm convinced of that. That he has to be somewhere because this is him. I've seen this man in every movies throughout centuries, and he hasn't aged. That's yeah. I'm convinced there's a man out there playing every vaguely European villain in every action movie. So like, we need to find this man
Hmm.
and be like, got a good gig.
The
Second thing,
IMDb page is ginormous.
it's huge. It spans like from the beginning of film.
Just the silent movies.
She's in like he's in like the background of a Chaplin film, getting like beaten up. Um, Also, you wouldn't get I guess because you haven't seen the sequels. The mask, the masks thing, the
Yeah.
whole this feels a lot more realistic in this movie than in the later movies. Because the later movies, I mean, what they just do is they end up just switching out an act with an actor for the masks, as you would.
Hmm.
But in this movie, I think it is actually like just prosthetics on a person's face, you know, like when Tom Cruise imitates like the senator in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like that. I'm like, that's just Tom Cruise with some like makeup on, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's one thing. Although, yeah, it's weird the whole masks thing because they started with them in this movie and they were more or less relatively realistic looking. Then the second and third movie, they go all out with the masks. Like there are just masks all over the place. And then fourth, fifth, and sixth movies, they tried to get more grounded again, and they kind of dropped the masks, so they don't really use masks anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's this. It's weird. Yeah. So anyway, Tom Cruise is part of a team with Emilio Estevez and a bunch of other people, led by John Voight. Um. Also, John Voight is introduced like on the plane with like the he's on the plane and they ask he gets like the recording and all that.
Yeah.
You know.
Your mission, Jim, should you choose to accept it, is to obtain photographic proof of the theft, shadow Galitzin to his buyer, and apprehend them both.
So much of this is like you couldn't do now. Like, firstly, he smokes on the plane, and I was like, nah. I love his like '90s TV play, like the '90s that like '90s plane TV that's like tiny
Yeah,
and you
the
have
little
to
box on the side.
I thought that was really funny. Also, like the tape starts like I guess just self disconstructs, explodes. It makes a tiny explosion, like smoke goes up. I'm like, that wouldn't work now.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck, Jim.
Yeah.
You just see like you're on a plane, you see smoke coming up. Like, that's not good. Yeah.
Another thing.
Mm.
So they're in like their little stage that they've set up to like interrogate that guy, trick him into saying stuff.
Mm.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
He says what he says, then they like poison him, and then they knock tables over to make it look like he just passed out or whatever.
Yeah.
If it was on a set,
And yeah, then they remove the walls. I'm like, what?
then yeah, if it's on a set, then why did they make it look like it was an accident?
Maybe they're just really clumsy.
They purposely just
They
abandoned
didn't,
it.
they didn't mean to. They're just like they were trying to get the body. They knocked everything over. They're a very clumsy people.
Yeah.
The IMF. Yeah. Also, John Voight's in this movie, and I was just whenever I hear him brought up, people like he's a weird dude. So I look up who he is, and he is a weird dude. Whenever I hear like someone's done something weird, I always look up their name and then controversy. Just so much stuff came up on this guy. So much stuff came up on this guy.
Who was he? Who was he in the movie?
He's the guy who turns out to be like alive at the end. He's like the team leader.
Oh,
Yeah.
like Phelps.
So many things.
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, Jim Phelps.
Jim.
And he like I looked it up and he's like the first article comes up is like John Voight declares against evil Democrats and wants to talk to Joe Biden and then just said ... and I'm like, I'm not gonna click on that. Jesus. Yeah, so he interesting place where his life's gone, it seems. You know? Yeah. Also, his wife in this movie is weirdly young compared to him. You know?
Yeah.
That's weird.
He's like 60. She's like 20.
Alright, so he was born in the 30s. So when this movie came out, so he was born in 1938. This man was born before World War II. So in 1996, when this movie comes out, I don't know, he's 58. John Voight's 58 when this movie comes out. Alright?
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
The
yeah,
lady
you, like,
playing
checked
his
that.
wife. The lady playing his wife. Remember, he was born in 1938. His wife was born in 1963. She is his age in the movie now. She's 58 now. So when the movie came out, she was 33 and he was 58. Ew.
Oh, God.
I mean, love is love, but also he's John Voight and looks gross. Also, she looks because so his daughter is Angelina Jolie. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
By any chance? Yeah, his daughter's Angelina Jolie, and I think it's very creepy how much the lady playing his wife looks like
Yes.
Angelina Jolie,
Yeah.
which makes it even creepier. Just it's a creepy thing. This whole
Creepy thing.
the whole John Voighting, just ew. Yeah, that's all I had to say on that. Just wanted to make it clear. Ew.
Ew.
Yes. Yeah. So we should maybe get back to the plot. We seemed to just agree to do that and then just didn't. So yeah, I guess they have been hired. It's the whole beginning plot's also like, because it turns out to be a trap, and I'm like, yeah, obviously. Because throughout the beginning act, I'm like, none of this makes sense. They have been their job is to intercept a guy. A defector has stolen half of a list of identities, of secret identities for the IMF, and he's going to a casino or a museum or whatever to get the other half of the list. And they have to stop him from stealing it.
Good morning, Mr. Phelps. The man you're looking at is Alexander Golitsyn, an attaché at our embassy in Prague. He is also a traitor. He has stolen one half of a CIA knock list, the record of all our deep cover agents working in Eastern Europe. For security reasons, the knock list is divided in two. The portion that Golitsyn already has contains code names, but this half is useless without its mate, which matches the code names with their true names. It is this half which Golitsyn plans to steal from the embassy during a reception tomorrow night.
My question is, why don't you arrest him? Because you seem to know he's done it, and you seem to know that he's going there to get it. Why don't you arrest him? So they have to get a list from a guy that they could easily arrest. And they all die. More or less. Everyone dies except, it seems, Tom Cruise. Which looks very bad for Tom Cruise. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of he's more or less. Also, Emilio Estevez's death in this is like graphic. Not graphic, but like it's stuck with me. You know?
You don't really see it though.
But like it's a gnarly death. It's gnarly, and I've always thought it's kind of stupid. Because he's on top of an elevator, and the elevator's moving up, and his face is impaled on a spike, and you can see for a split second puppet Emilio Estevez's head going inwards as the spike hits the puppet.
Cut the power, Jack. Come on, Jack. Cut the power. Jack.
Just before they cut, so that always stuck with me, because getting stabbed in the face by some form of electrical equipment just sounds gross and horrible way to die. But also, I don't know why he dies from that, because he could avoid it by just moving to the left.
Yeah, well, as you can see, these, whatever they are, secret agent people are a bit dumb.
Yeah, they can't clean up a set without knocking over tables, and they don't know how to avoid like a death that's stuck with 9-year-old me for way too long, without like just by going to the side a bit.
And then also the whole arresting thing.
Yeah, that too. I don't know. I'm starting to think like because they accuse. Actually, yeah, I just want to run through some of the deaths in this movie. The lady who walks up to the guy getting stabbed. How does she get stabbed? They never clear that up.
She just dies.
I was like,
she tripped and fell into the knife.
She fell in. Because, like, yeah, obviously, there's a guy with a knife who just stabbed a guy there. Don't go up to him. There's a fence in between you. Don't go up to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially on a foggy. It looks like a 90s adaptation of a Shakespearean movie. It looks like Interview with a Vampire, which is another, in my opinion, slightly better 90s Tom Cruise movie. By the way, I should probably mention this is directed by Brian De Palma, who I know from stuff like Carrie, Sisters, Blowout, The Untouchables, what stuff like that. But you might know as the director of one of your favorite movies, Scarface.
Say hello to my little friend!
Oh, I love Scarface.
Yeah, so he directed
I
that.
did not know. I did not know that because I don't pay attention to anything.
That's fine. It's okay, Max. Yeah, so he directed this, and people say this is his great directing, and I go, was it that great directing? I'm still confused.
Yeah, it's a very confusing movie.
Yeah.
I don't understand any of like who the hell's Job?
Okay, yeah, so I think that I guess he so basically we'll get to that in a second. He's accused of Tom Cruise is the only one who survives the whole thing, and then he's tracked down by some other IMF agents who say that they believe he's a mole because he's just so luckily been the only one to survive this. And they arrest his parents. I don't know if that's how it works. I don't know why. I just thought it was funny. But yeah, so
it's an epic prank.
Epic pranks, bro. Epic 1996 pranks, bro. Film it on like some bulky camera, put it on like a VHS, or like very early websites. Yeah, so, and then then he goes to their safe house. Which why would the IMF not be there? Because they know where their safe house is. And then Tom Cruise just escaped. Obviously, they would just follow him to the safe house. It seems like an obvious. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Then they go there, and then John Voight's wife walks in because apparently she's still alive. And I don't know, when she was like patting her down, it looked I don't know, it felt weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like nothing's happening, but I feel like something is happening, and it's gross.
Yeah.
Max's opinion on the subject, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. No.
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 That she would be better in this movie. I'd watch Mission Impossible with her.
Mission Consuela.
Mission Consuela.
Consuela Impossible.
That's it. There we go. Yes, no, the movie
Consuela.
is about like them. No, I got it. Consuela cleans Tom Cruise's house, and she takes one of his masks, and he wants the mask back. And the entire movie, the movie is 2.5 hours long, and the entire movie is about him trying to get a mask back, and it's him going, "Can I have it?" And she going, "No." That's what I need. That's what Mission Impossible 7 needs to be. Tom Cruise, stop yelling at people on your set. Just do that instead.
Consuela Impossible.
Yes. We're making that, Max.
Yes.
That's what we're doing now.
Bagsy Consuela.
You insist on playing Consuela.
Yes.
Alright.
Full prosthetics.
Yeah. I like this. Yeah. So he goes back to their safe house and texts people. This is I don't know. This is where it starts to you start to lose me. Somehow he finds a bunch of numbers and then dots in them, and it's on a date, and then he looks up and the most wonderfully placed Bible is there. Because the IMF is a classy agency. Yeah, and so he works out it's a Bible reading.
Job 3:14.
And then he I guess, I don't know, the Bible reading said by Job, which I don't know, is that the book of Revelations? I haven't brushed up on my Christian whatever stuff in a while. Yeah, so I don't know, it's weird. This is another, it's lost me. At this point, you lost me. This is the one. Yep. This is it. This is where you begin to lose me, and it just gets worse from here. He wants to track down a guy called Job now, and then somehow that translates to him meeting an English lady called Max.
But why?
I don't know, Max. I thought you knew.
I spent the whole movie trying to work out, and I just couldn't understand. And I understand more watching it the second time, but I don't know why.
Yeah, it's weird. Also, when he gets the text, it's a very dramatic thing. He jumps up, and I like to imagine that's how Tom Cruise responds to emails generally. Like
I respond to anything.
Anything. You're just sweaty constantly, and then you get a text. You're like, "Wow," and you text back. Yeah. Yeah, and then so he's going to see a lady called Max, and they put like a bag head. They put a bag on his head, and he's acting with the bag on his head makes me wish he had a bag on his head in more movies.
Why was it good acting or bad?
It was wonderful bag head acting.
I thought I was going to see Max.
You misunderstood. No one sees Max.
What the hell am I doing here?
Allowing Max to see you and hear what you've got to say.
Well, I don't communicate very well through a shroud.
Well, if Max doesn't like what you have to say, you'll be wearing that shroud indefinitely.
I'm willing to take the chance.
Wonderful bad head acting.
He moved his head very comedically. I liked it. Tom Cruise, do this more. Also, finally, I found a character in a movie who pronounces what like me. Because Max in this movie, not you, Max, Lady Max, she pronounces the H before her W's. She's like, "What are you doing here?"
Who are you and what are you doing here?
And I love it.
You've never said what like in a normal sentence ever.
What on earth are you referring to?
Did you just say twoo?
Maybe. That's not the problem right now, Max, okay? We have priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess they make a deal where he has to get a file from her from some fancy lab place, and in return for that, she'll get him Job. Is that how it works?
Yes, but
Thank
who
you.
is Job?
I still don't know.
Do you have your computer? If I search up on hear me and everything. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I don't want to click off by accident.
Mhm.
Who is Job?
Look up Mission Impossible, because otherwise you're also going to get a bunch of religious stuff.
Oh.
Or is it John?
Twist of the century.
What?
It's Jim Phelps.
Wait, yeah,
They said that. I forgot.
they did. That's what the ending's about.
Okay. I'm gonna search something else.
I feel a little stupid for forgetting that. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that's
Okay, I'm searching something else up. I searched up why is Max relevant in Mission Impossible, and it's telling you stuff on Marxism.
the internet's an
Marx's
interesting place.
Theory
Mhm.
on ecological sustainability.
I think that might also be Marxism, Max.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's not. Okay. Well.
All right,
Anyway,
we're gonna.
Boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they make that deal, and they're in a car with some bad rear projection. That's about it. Yeah. So I guess then he meets up with the French fella as
Yeah.
Krieger. Krieger. And awesome Ving Rhames, who is another actor who I'm very thankful is a constant in these movies because he's one of the best parts of this movie.
He's like the hacker guy, right?
He's he's Ving Rhames, Luther.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. He's
cool.
Just cool guy. I don't know anything about him, but he seems like a cool guy. That's all I know. Yep. So he meets up with them, and he says, "Help me with the thingy," and they say yes. That's more or less what the scene is. It seems. He says, "Help me with something," and they're like, "Sure." All right.
Sure.
So they do, and they're very polite about it. It's very nice. They do that. I don't know. We're kind of rushing this movie again. It's not like a particularly. This movie is just like got a lot of heavy dialogue scenes that are hard to understand, and has a weird editor, and it's not very clear. But other than that, it's a very simple movie.
I think like the writers maybe fell asleep.
Yeah.
And forgot.
Brian De Palma did not write this movie, and you can tell. That is apparent. Yeah, so they go so they break into I think was probably the most famous bit of this movie, the whole like vault sort of thing. The whole very overcomplicated vault. Because it looks very 2001. Everything's white. And you can't make any sound, and you can't touch like anything and the floors otherwise because the floors are so like incredibly pressure sensitive that, as shown earlier, a drop of water will make the alarms go off, which seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
It seems
that
like
guy leaves his like drink there.
Yeah. How
And
come
there's
you're
also
not
a bin on
Yeah.
the floor?
There's a bin in there. You can just bring your drinks in. It's both the highest tech and most casual like Pentagon style building in the US government. It's the only building like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why all of these features are there, especially because they have like a massive vent a massive people-sized vent in this roof. And you can fix this problem by just making it lots of smaller vents, and then no one can get in.
No, unless it's being broken into by an army of dwarves.
Okay, well then we have a problem. If Snow White tries to break into this, we have a problem.
Yeah.
But currently, we have good relations with the Seven Dwarfs community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, actually, did you hear about that whole controversy with this new Snow White movie?
No.
So, you know who Peter Dinklage is?
No.
He's the short fella on Game of Thrones. He was in Infinity War.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He made a thing about how they're casting. I don't know if this is the wrong thing to say. Shorter people as the dwarves in this live action Snow White movie. He was saying it's not okay and all that. And then a week later, as in Disney cancels the movie, or maybe I don't know what they'll do now. Maybe they haven't cancelled it. And then all the actors who were going to play the dwarves said, "Well, thanks a lot, Peter Dinklage. Now I don't have a job."
Ah.
Yeah, so and which is also weird, especially because he became famous for playing characters who are small. Like, he plays a character. I haven't seen Game of Thrones, but it looks like he plays a character. He got famous for playing a character in Game of Thrones. He plays a dwarf in Infinity War. Like,
The
it's not
dwarf
like
is ginormous.
yeah, but still, like he's using. I think he's probably. I mean, in his most recent movie as well, Cyrano, which I haven't seen. It looks good. He's playing a guy who complains about being small, so he's definitely used his height as an advantage to get roles, which good for him. But he complains when other people do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been like a thing now. It's just like, fuck you. Yeah. Anyway, big weird vault room. Also, you can also fix it by just put like spikes. Make it a smaller room.
Yes, ginormous.
It's huge. I'm like, yeah, make it like a big cupboard. Make it a big cupboard-sized room. Then it's very hard to break into that. Let me tell you, cupboard-sized rooms are very hard to break into. And maybe don't put massive. Yeah, don't make it a cupboard-sized room, and don't make it have a massive vent in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just my opinions on some of the security in this. I forgot wherever it is. Place. Also, then like there's a couple just of bits in this movie that don't make, and that's this whole sequence don't make sense. They have the quietest like ropes ever, because apparently any sound will make alarms go off. Also, there's a bit in the sequence where a guy comes in and Tom Cruise is like hoisted up. The problem is the floors are so shiny, his reflection would be in the floors, and the guy would see that. So, and you see it in a couple of shots. Then you can see at the very bottom of the frame, just the bit of Tom Cruise's like reflection on the floor, or like it's behind him. Like, yeah, they try to make sure you can't see it, but it's definitely there. You know?
I never noticed that.
Yeah, I will, because it's just a really long sequence. So I start to be like, just look around, like, oh, yeah, how come we can't see his reflection? Because he's looking at the floor, or just like down in general. If you saw like, yeah, if I looked from the floor and I saw the reflection of like a gangly 30-year-old man, I'd look up. I'd think it's a little weird. Not gonna lie.
Maybe he's like what's it? Schizophrenic, where you like have those. You can like see it. Maybe I'm getting that all wrong, but you know where you have like voices and you sometimes see people that are there, like hallucinations.
Well, then why does he work at where he works? That's a terrible job for you, sir. If you're like seeing things, maybe don't work in anything defense related.
What does he even do?
I don't know. It seems like he just walks in and out of this room as his job. Like clicks a few buttons on the computer's like, huh. Anyway, I'm gonna go leave now. Yeah, it's weird. I don't get this movie. Also, he's really sweaty. He's just Tom Cruise throughout this entire movie. It seems like early Tom Cruise is constantly sweaty in movies, like this, Top Gun, other things.
You know what it is?
What?
I know what it is, Luke. It's because it's his earlier movies, and he's like, "Oh, I have to do a good job, or I won't get a job." He's really nervous. He wants to put his best performance on, so he gets the next job.
He's just constantly sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's weird. I mean, Tom Cruise, like, he's a pretty good actor. Good for him. But like, yeah, really sweaty in this scene. Also, he's a weird actor how he looks as well, because I mean, I'm sure he's gotten plastic surgery, because he looks very good for however old he is. Because it's really weird seeing him in like movies where he's actually 30, because he was 33 when this movie came out.
Really?
And yeah, and seeing him play 33, he looks like a baby. It feels like, because nowadays he's just like he's either you have no idea how old he is. He could be like very he could be like he could either be 40 or 70, and he's just that weird area in between. He's like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. We could either be like late 30s or thousands of years old. I have no idea. Yeah, Tom Cruise. It's weird. Just seeing him in younger, older movies, he looks like a baby, and it's weird to me. Just
Yeah, he's definitely had plastic surgery. I'm looking at images of like supposedly before and after plastic surgery.
yeah, no, yeah. I mean, fine. I mean, it's not like I imagine most people in Hollywood have. Yeah. You can do that if you don't look really young when you're young, and he looked really young when he was young. So, you know. Nah. What else? See that they do that. They steal whatever, and then
I don't know why. Why do they need the thing with all the names
I
on
think
it?
that's what Max wants, and in return, Max will give them the name of Job.
But isn't that like completely really dangerous? Like it's giving away all the names of all the secret agents.
I don't know. I'm a little confused, man. I don't know.
Maybe maybe they're idiots and they didn't think it through.
Yeah, and then after this, the movie completely loses me. Because actually, yeah, no. First, before the movie completely loses me, they complete the mission and they go to England and they get like an apartment above Leicester Square. And this is where I officially have lost. This movie has gone into a fantasy land. Because so much of this, like them setting, just showing that they're in London, none of it makes sense to me. And I'm gonna run through it now because I got very annoyed by this. So first, obviously, the shot, because they show they've gotten an apartment above Leicester Square, and for people who don't live in England or London, Leicester Square is one of the busiest parts of London. It is near Oxford Street, which is the busiest shopping area in Europe. So yes, Leicester Square is incredibly busy, and on this street they show there's only 3 people outside. I don't think there have only been 3 people outside Leicester Street since the 1500s. I'm convinced of that.
Daily shopping in Leicester Square.
Yeah, that was 1500s was the last time there were only 3 people. Maybe not even like at any time of day. And it's nighttime and it's raining and there are still minimum 50 people in Leicester Square. I don't care. Like there's no way there are not like 50 people in the streets of Leicester Square at any given moment. Is that? Yes, is that? Secondly, how in the heck did they get an apartment above Leicester Square station? And they don't live there. They're just staying there as a safe house. So why did they choose the most expensive part of a country to stay in?
God no. They wanted to splash out on the cash.
I mean, guys, I know we're running for our lives, but might as well do that in style by buying the most expensive apartment in the country. I swear to God. Yeah, so that happens. There's they just chill there, and then he goes to, is it Paddington? What's the train station he goes to?
I thought it's maybe it's Paddington. Yeah.
No, I don't think. What do you think? What did you say it was?
It was Liverpool Street Station.
It might have been. No, because it's where you take the Euro isn't it?
Oh, then it's St Pancras.
Yeah, sorry, St Pancras. So he goes to St Pancras Station, and I guess John Voight's there now. And John Voight's the bad guy now. Jim Phelps. This is where the movie loses me. I think this is it. I don't know what. I have no idea what happens onwards from here.
Yeah, they could have just ended the movie after that, like, iconic bit, and I would have been happy.
Yeah, but then with the movie would be like an hour long.
I know, and it wouldn't end properly.
Yeah, but he climbs up and cut the credits.
Roll credits.
Dun. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing a Family Guy credit music.
Yeah, that just you've been watching too much Family Guy. Yeah, I don't know. Now John Voight's the movie, and now he's the villain. Why? Just because. John Voight's the villain now. Roll with it. And so I don't know. He explains that he killed all the people on the team, and then Tom Cruise. We found out later, but he pretends to work for him. Like he's like, "Yep, all right, I'm working with you now, John Voight."
I didn't realize. I thought he said that the other guy killed all the people, and Tom Cruise didn't know he was evil.
Oh, okay then. Never mind. This is why you're here, man. I don't understand this movie. Yeah,
Bow
that's.
down to me. I am your superior.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I was confused. Thank you for cleaning that up. Either that happens. What else? Yeah. So they. Oh yeah. Oh, that makes way more sense now. I understand this movie now. Thank you. I was so confused.
Wait, why were you confused?
Because then later they have the other reveal on the train, but it turns out Tom Cruise was listening the whole time. Like with the mask fake out on the train with John Voight and his wife, who could be his daughter and looks like his daughter. Yeah. It would be real. I for like a brief second watching this movie, I legitimately thought it was Angelina Jolie playing his wife, which would have been really creepy. I don't know why I keep going on about this, but it's creepy. Yeah. So they get on the train, and Tom Cruise gives the thing, whatever Max wanted on the train, and then the John Voight's wife goes to John Voight, and we find out she and John Voight are the villains. They're Job, and they planned it. And then it turns out that Ethan Hunt's there, but it also turns out that actual John Voight's there, and then a fight scene happens.
Whoa.
I think this is a bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just made a weird noise.
Yeah. I think this movie's defeated me and Max.
Yeah. And Max in the movie.
It's Friday. We're recording this on a Friday. We're tired. I don't get it. Yeah. The fight scene in this, because, I mean, you probably know this, like, the franchise is kind of famous for their stunts, you know? Like, I think in Fallout, the most recent one, there's a sequence where Tom Cruise learned to fly a helicopter, and there's like a helicopter fight chase scene shootout in like a ravine.
Like helicopters put on boxing gloves and punch each other.
That's what it should be, but unfortunately it's not. Yeah, Tom Cruise did that, and he jumped out jumped out of a plane. And he did those two in Fallout. In Rogue Nation, the fifth one, I'm not joking, strapped himself to the side of a plane.
Yes, I know that.
In the fourth one, he did something else. I don't know what he did in the fourth one. Oh, no, in the fourth one, he did a sequel. Or is it the fifth one? I don't know. He's in one of the... Yeah. Never mind. I don't know.
In one of them, he goes underwater for a long time.
Yeah, in one of them, he did a sequence where he has to get some stuff out of another overcomplicated vault that's underwater. He had to learn how to hold his breath for 10 minutes.
Fun.
Yeah. In the third one, he climbs the not the Taj Mahal. He climbs like the tallest building in the world, which I think is like some building in Indonesia. Which, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think he's probably trying to kill himself because of the Scientology, and
He was
that's
just
how he's.
really suicidal.
Yeah, no, I think he's worked out that Scientology is not a good idea, but he can't get out of it, so he's just trying to kill himself.
With style.
Yes, like I imagine he's talking to the director of these new ones. It's like, you know, man, how about for this one we use real bullets? But Mr. Cruz, you're not running in this one. Exactly, man. Just let me go. Yeah. Yeah, but this fight scene, like on top of a train, I'm convinced is why he does everything practically, because his whole thing is like, he says, we all know he's trying to kill himself, but he says it's because there's a realism that's lost with CGI. And I think this sequence is why he thinks that, because this movie has some very bad 1996 CGI on top of a train.
The grass was too green.
Like there's a helicopter gets in at one point, and you see a helicopter in a train tunnel in front of a train, and none of it looks real.
And the guy
It's
in
just-
the train looks like a mouse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he looks like a cartoon almost. He looks like a guy from Wallace and Gromit.
He's Stuart Little,
Stuart Little. What is that?
the mouse.
He is Stuart Little. Sorry. Why did I think it was Stuart Little? Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of rushing this movie because, like, there's not. I don't know. It's fine.
Nothing
It's just-
like you could like kind of skip the movie and kind of understand what happened.
The
There's a
sequels,
lot of
yeah, the
scenes
sequels-
that don't really matter.
Yeah, it's just kind of like. It's weird. It's a lot, like, colder than the latest actual thriller and not like an action movie. This is much more of a thriller than the later movies. The later movies are more action, like more fun, if you will, like the more action adventure, you know, than thriller than this one. I would almost put thriller as the first genre for this movie, and then action adventure second, and then the later movies are, I think, action adventure first, comedies then, because those later movies also Tom Cruise Chops here is doing some very good physical acting, like physical comedy. He can be really funny in those movies. I'm shocked you haven't seen them.
Have I not?
What the heck, Max? Come on.
I mean, I know I haven't. Why did I ask if I hadn't seen them?
I know, but you should see them. I can't believe that you haven't seen them. It's a travesty.
Sorry.
Heck, man. Yeah.
Then the helicopter explodes. The end. Roll credits.
The helicopter explodes the end. In some more wonderful 1996 graphics. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
And
think-
then
Yep.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's just then just the whole that when it explodes, he kind of looks like he gets flung really weirdly
Mhm.
when it explodes, and it hurts my back like watching him. His whole spine gets like bent twice.
Yeah, it's also like because you know how like old westerns they have the whole thing of fighting on a train. I love how it's that now, but like just your brain is being pushed in the back of your head because it's a high speed train.
Yeah.
And on that note, if we sound different, it's because we're recording on a different mic. If we don't, I'm just gonna cut this out. But on that note, I have some information on the C files because up to this point we've had different co-hosts every week, with me being the permanent. But I thought I'm just gonna save myself some time and effort getting someone to do this every week, and I'm forcing 3 of my friends to do it with me every week instead.
Unfortunately.
Coming for every podcast episode that I can force them onto.
Casper.
Max.
And Luke's alter ego, Huxley.
Yes, it's a different person, I promise.
He's lying.
We're never going to do this in person for different reasons.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we've had all you guys on a podcast at one point. I've had Max on a ton of them. Max is on Max. We've had a.
Don't let Max lie to you like that. It's very rude.
That was Huxley. You're gonna have to tell the difference between that. The way you'll be able to work it out is if I'm insulting Huxley, it's Huxley, or if someone's insulting me, it could be either of us. I'm very self-deprecating in some ways.
It's definitely not Max though. He's way too nice.
Max is a nice
Canadian
person.
Like that.
He's Canadian like that.
I'm from Canada now.
He's Canadian.
No, he's from Canada.
He's from
How could you?
he's from Canada and Seoul.
Cadia.
Canada.
Canada.
All right.
Cadia.
So
Cadia
yeah.
stands.
No, Cadia
Yes.
does not stand. The fall of Cadia.
This is about to get very out of
Planet
hand.
broke before the
So I'm
god
gonna
did.
No,
shut
it
these
is.
people down. This is a terrible idea.
Sorry, we're talking about nerd shit.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Give me your lunch money.
We just said you were Canadian, Max.
Come on, man. You have a reputation to live
Yeah,
up to.
he's from Canada.
Yeah. So
I'm so sorry.
yeah.
I'm not.
So next week we're gonna have an episode on the Batman. We're gonna record it like now. We just finished it.
That's now.
That's now. We're gonna finish recording this and just record that. But yeah. So we'll see you next week. I'm just gonna do it again because we just did it. But I'm Luke.
I'm Casper.
I'm Max.
I'm Huxley.
This has been the C-Files podcast. See you next week.
Hi, this is Luke. If you liked that video, please like and subscribe, and click the bell icon for notifications about new videos.